The courtroom is hushed, each breath suspended in mid-air, when the police report is dropped with a big thump on the judge's table. No one expected this. Not Kody, not Robyn, not even Meri, Janelle or Christine. Whatever is inside those pages is going to take down everything the Brown family has been working on for decades. Secrets, lies, and betrayal buried deep are going to come out in public. And the question on everyone's mind is basic. Will this be the moment that ruins the sister wives family once and for all? If you had this police report in your hand, what would you do with it? Share your thoughts in the comments, because this story is about to take you inside the drama. It starts on a gray, chilly morning outside a courthouse in Flagstaff, Arizona. News vans line the sidewalk, cameras clicking as the Browns emerge from their vehicles. Kody strides quickly, his jaw clenched, his golden curls looking tousled as though he's gone without sleep for days. Behind him, Robyn tight clutches her purse, her eyes bloodshot with tears. Meri, Christine, and Janelle come separately, each accompanied by their own entourage, their faces a mixture of determination and fear. Inside, the atmosphere is heavy with tension. The gallery holds onlookers, supporters in some seats, skeptics in most, and reporters eager to record each gasp and whisper. The courtroom itself seems chillier than normal, fluorescent lights cutting cold shadows across weary faces. The judge, a severe woman with piercing glasses, brings the case to order. Papers rustle, Kody fidgets with his tie, his hands shaking ever so slightly. Robyn leans close, whispering something in his ear, her lips compressed, her hand wrapped around his arm as if to hold him together. In the corner of the room, Christine and Janelle look at each other. It is that kind of look that says all without saying. This is it. The truth is going to come out. The prosecutor stands, his voice steady and deliberate. Your Honor, new evidence has surfaced that sheds light on the financial dealings of the Brown family. It is contained within this police report. Gasps ripple across the gallery. Meri leans forward, her face pale but her eyes unflinching. Christine folds her arms, almost daring Kody to react. And Kody, his face twists. First confusion, then anger, then something close to panic. The bailiff sets the fat folder of papers down on the judge's bench. The clatter resonates throughout the courtroom like a gavel itself. This isn't proof. This is the police report that can bring a family legacy down, a show reputation down, and a man's authority down. Sometimes it's not the verdict that astonishes people, it's the proof nobody saw coming. The judge browses the first few pages, her brows furrowing. These are serious charges, she says, her voice tight. Misuse of funds, hidden assets, and potential fraud. Mr. Brown, you and your attorney will be able to respond. But first, the court will hear from the officer investigating. The rear door of the courtroom swings open, and in strides Detective Harris, a commanding, no-nonsense presence with a fat case file clutched in his hand. He strides to the witness stand with the slow, measured confidence of a man who knows the power of his words. All eyes track him as he settles himself on the witness stand. Robyn bites her lips so hard it practically bleeds. Meri leans back in her chair, arms crossed tightly over her chest, prepared for battle. Christine murmurs something to Janelle, who nods gravely. And Kody? He's glaring at the officer as if he wishes him out of sight. The detective lifts his right hand, takes the oath to tell the truth, and then starts. His voice is deep and steady and sharp. During our investigation, we found irregularities in several joint accounts related to Mr. Brown and his wives. Money that was supposed to be spent on family expenses seems to have been diverted, some to personal accounts, some missing altogether. The gallery erupts into whispers. Reporters scribble furiously. The Browns freeze. Christine's lips curl into a bitter smile. She's been waiting for this. Meri's eyes narrow, her suspicion now confirmed. Janelle clenches her hands together, torn between heartbreak and vindication. And Robyn, tears well in her eyes, her voice cracking as she whispers to Kody, "Tell me this isn't true, please." The walls of the courtroom seem to be closing in, but the most incendiary detail is yet to come. Detective Harris leans forward, displaying a copy of a bank statement. This police report not only suggests financial mismanagement, it suggests intentional cover-up, transfers late at night, withdrawals just below reporting levels, and it suggests not only Mr. Brown, but perhaps others in this room. The courtroom gasps again, louder this time. Heads turn toward the wives. Christine shifts uncomfortably, but keeps her head high. Janelle's eyes flash with shock. Meri grips the edge of her chair, her knuckles white. And Robyn? She looks like she might faint. Kody slams his hand on the table, his voice rising. This is a lie, a setup, they're twisting everything. But the judge interrupts him, her gavel coming down with a crack. Order. This court will have order. The silence that ensues is dense, oppressive. Everyone knows this is just the start. The report has just been unwrapped. What is buried deeper within could ruin everything. And the next page contains a name no one was expecting. The second the detective turns the page, the atmosphere within the courtroom shifts. The hum of murmurs dissipates into an expectant hush, as if all of them are collectively holding their breath. The judge fiddles with her glasses, her gaze focusing on the next line of the police report. And then she utters it. A name that doesn't belong. A name no one had anticipated hearing. Meri Brown. The words fall like a thunderclap. The gallery is filled with gasps, reporters almost springing out of their seats to jot down the name. Meri, normally controlled and stoic, jerks forward in her seat, her mouth hanging agape. She gazes at the judge, then at the detective, then lastly at Kody. No, she breathes, her voice cracking under the severity of the charge. No, that can't be right. But the detective is not fazed. He turns to another page in his notebook and taps a section with his finger. The report indicates late-night transfers from a joint account held by Mr. Brown and Meri Brown to an account not listed in the family's official financial disclosures. The amount $75,000. Meri shakes her head wildly, tears brimming in her eyes. That's impossible. I didn't know, I wouldn't. Her words fall victim to their own mass. Kody, however, grabs the opportunity. His expression contorts with anger as he stares Meri down the length of the room. So this is it, huh? All these years of suspicion, all the brawls, and it was you stashing money behind my back? His voice rises with every statement, spittle landing on his chin, his frame shaking with anger. The judge bangs her gavel again, telling him to sit down, but the harm is already inflicted. The courtroom now glares at Meri, the woman once who was the pillar of this family and who is now branded a potential traitor. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come from your foes. It comes from the people you loved the most before. Robyn buries her face in her hands, shaking her head. Christine sits back, her eyes narrowing with shock and bitter satisfaction. And Janelle, though visibly conflicted, breathes softly under her breath. Meri, why? The detective goes on, his voice detached and merciless. The money seems to have been siphoned off for 6 months. Small, frequent withdrawals, not large enough to get caught, but adding up when aggregated. We followed them to an account in Miss Brown's own name. Meri's voice cracks as she blurts out, "It wasn't me. I have no idea how those transfers occurred. Someone's setting me up. Someone." She hesitates, looking wildly from Christine to Janelle to Robyn, as if searching for a friend. But their faces are unresponsive, each grappling with the shock in their own manner. The judge clears her throat, her tone brusque. "Mrs. Brown, you will have a chance to respond formally through your attorney. For the moment, the court will continue with the testimony." The silence that ensues is oppressive. The burden of suspicion has transferred, weighing down on Meri like an anvil. She glances down at her shaking hands, murmuring to herself, "Not again, not like this." When the walls close in, whom do you believe, the truth or the tale others desire to believe? Kody stands stiff, his chest rising and falling, his eyes locked on Meri with a venom that penetrates deeper than any spoken words. For years their marriage had disintegrated, piece by piece, until shards remained. But now, before cameras, a judge and the world, the last thread appears to break. Christine, ending the silence, leans forward and speaks. Not to the judge, not to the detective, but straight to Meri. We told you secrets would always come back. You should have been honest with us." Meri tugs her head in the direction of Christine, eyes burning between tears. "You think I did this? After all the crap Kody did to me? You think I jeopardized what little respect I had left over some cash? No, Christine. You want to believe that because it's an easier pill to swallow than what he's done?" The judge intervenes, restoring order, but the harm is done. The courtroom buzzes once more, the energy keen, fractured, and volatile. Meri is no longer a bystander. She's part of the case. The detective flips another page, his tone laden with meaning. What makes it even more important is that the account wasn't spent on normal things. It wasn't used for gas, or doctor's bills, or the power company. The money was transferred into a different trust, a trust created in stealth. Robyn gasps so loudly that even the judge looks at her. Christine and Janelle share stunned glances, their mouths open in shock. And Meri? Her back stiffens, her face locked with fear. "What trust?" Christine blurts out, unable to keep it inside. The detective gives her a direct stare before he responds. "A trust that has one beneficiary, and one only, Robyn Brown." The room blows up. Journalists call out questions. The gallery buzzes in horror. Robyn falls against the bench, crying uncontrollably, her words breaking as she stammers. "I didn't know, I swear I didn't know." Kody turns to her, his face white, his hands clenched on her shoulders. "Tell me you didn't know about this. Tell me, Robyn. Robyn shakes her head wildly, tears streaming. I didn't, Kody. I didn't. Please believe me. And in this way, the finger of doubt points once more, this time at the one wife Kody promised to protect over every other. Meri sits stiff, her gaze fixed on Robyn. For the first time in years, the tables have been turned. The family's so-called darling, the one wife Kody defended constantly, is now caught up in a scandal that threatens to destroy them all. The judge shouts above the chaos, silencing it. Enough. This court will not be reduced to theater. We will return after a recess to permit counsel to discuss these fresh results. The gavel comes down. The hearing is at an end, but the weight of the silence that follows is greater than any words. The Browns sit in stunned disbelief, each engulfed in his or her own tempest of fear, anger, and betrayal. Kody pushes back in his chair, massaging his face, whispering, "Not happening, not to me, not to us." But Meri, for the first time in years, sits up straight. She is white-faced, but her eyes blaze with something hot. Perhaps anger, perhaps justice, perhaps vengeance. And as the family exits the courtroom, cameras clicking, reporters yelling, the question hovers in the air like smoke after flames. If Robyn was the recipient of the secret trust, then who created it? Because the next bombshell will identify the real mastermind, and it will destroy the last tenuous thread holding this family intact. The courtroom barely settles before the detective clears his throat, indicating he is not done. The recessed tension remains like a storm about to break. Reporters lean forward, cameras running softly, audience gripping their seats. They all wait for the next name, the mastermind of the trust, and then he utters it. Christine Brown. The words slash more keenly than any gavel blow. The air is sucked from the room. Even the judge hesitates, her brows furrowing with incredulity. Christine, seated so confidently, as suddenly freezes, her face going white as if the floor has just disappeared from under her. Janelle gasps loudly, covering her mouth with shaking hands. Robyn's wails become stunned silence, her face smeared with tears turning to Christine. And Kody. Kody almost bolts out of his seat, his eyes bulging, his finger pointing directly at her. You, Christine? You said all those things about me, did all those things to break up this family, and you were the one manipulating everything? Christine swallows hard, her voice cracking but defiant. No, that's not how it is. That's not the truth. When the person you trust the least becomes the one holding all the power, the question isn't just why, it's how far they're willing to go. The detective places another page of the report on the floor, this one signed by Christine. The room is filled again with murmurs. The judge pounds the gavel, shouting for silence. Order in the court. Let the witness proceed. Christine lunges forward, her eyes burning with equal measures of fear and outrage. I did not create that trust for me. I created it because I needed to protect my children. Do you understand? For my children? Her words linger in the air, trembling with raw emotion. Janelle creeps closer, a stage whisper. Christine, what did you do? Christine takes a shaky breath, her voice cracking as she answers. Money was going missing, slipping away every month. And I asked Kody every time and he brushed me off, told me I was imagining, told me Robyn needed more assistance. But I knew something was off. So yes, I set up the trust. Yes, I transferred the money, but not for me, to keep it from disappearing, to save it before it was lost forever. The room is shocked. Even the judge slouches slightly, as though considering the seriousness of her admission. Robyn blots away her tears, muttering, "Safe? You are stealing from us." Christine fixes a hard stare on her. No, Robyn. I was rescuing us from him. She points squarely at Kody. Sometimes the greatest betrayal isn't financial, it's about who you think is keeping you safe, and who you discover has been manipulating you. Kody bangs his hand on the table for the second time, his anger shaking as he speaks. This is absurd. She's turning it all around. Christine has been trying to destroy me since she left me. This is her revenge masquerading as righteousness. But Christine does not blink. For once, she does not drop her voice. You want to discuss revenge, Kody? You want to discuss betrayal? Then explain to this courtroom what happened to the missing $200,000. The room erupts once more. The gallery gasps. Reporters write furiously. The judge pounds her gavel until its sound echoes through the chamber. But nothing can silence Christine's words. $200,000. Robyn appears shocked, her lips quivering as if she's hiding something. Meri leans in closer, her suspicion revived. And Janelle, her eyes well up with tears as she breathes. You knew it was bigger than what we saw. The detective verifies Christine's assertion with a slow nod. The police report verifies that a large amount of family money is still unaccounted for. Christine's trust accounts for only part of it. The rest? Gone. We think it was moved before she acted. The courtroom descends into an unsettling silence. Everyone looks at Kody. Kody nods his head, his face flushed, his words spilling out in desperation. No, no, they're trying to set me up. First Meri, then Christine. It's all a lie. You people don't get it. I was protecting this family. I was giving us a future. The judge raises an eyebrow, her voice biting. A future funded by whose money, Mr. Brown? Kody stumbles. His mouth opens but nothing comes out. The silence is heavier than the words he might speak. When silence is louder than words, you can't help but question what truth it hides. Christine leans forward once more, her voice shaking with anger. You called me disloyal. You called me a traitor. But all along, I was the only one keeping our children safe from losing everything. Robyn crumbles again, sobbing openly. Christine, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you go to me? Christine's eyes soften for a moment. Because you would have gone running straight to him. And then the money would have vanished quicker than ever. The agony on Robyn's face is too much. Torn between fidelity to Kody and what is dawning on her now, she shakes her head in despair. Meri, finally uncharacteristically silent until now, speaks up at last, her voice cold. We all knew something was amiss. We just didn't care to admit it. And now here we are, hauled into court with our lives in shambles. Was it worth it, Kody? Kody remains silent. His face is red, his fists balled up, his eyes scanning everywhere but at his wives. The judge cuts in, her tone even but unyielding. This court doesn't exist to referee family squabbles. But these discrepancies in finances are no longer just conjecture. They are on paper, and they will be dealt with. The gavel comes down again, ringing out like a heartbeat in the silence. As the courtroom descends into uncomfortable silence, Christine's words continue to weigh in the balance. The truth is out. She established the trust, but claimed it was for the protection of the family. The money trail supports her account, but leaves one haunting question without an answer. If Christine simply diverted some of the money, who appropriated the rest? Because the $200,000 missing has a trail, and when it's uncovered, it will lead to the person no one was expecting. The lights in the courtroom seem more intense now, almost cruel, like truth itself has become a spotlight. All eyes lean forward, shallow breaths, anticipating the next shocker. The detective straightens his papers, scanning the report with measured intent. He knows what's at stake here. He knows the last surprise is going to shred this family to pieces. And then, with the aplomb of a man accustomed to breaking bad news, he utters it. The missing $200,000 was traced to an account in the name Janelle Brown. The room explodes like a bomb has detonated. Gasps, cries, even a couple of shrieks from the gallery. Cameras flash madly as reporters rush to get the shot. Janelle's eyes widen. She shakes her head wildly, her hands shaking. No, that isn't true. That can't happen. But the detective keeps going, his tone firm and unforgiving. The transfers came in stages, cleverly concealed. The account was opened in the name of a shell company, listed in Janelle Brown's name. All leads point straight there. Kody almost falls back into his chair, his expression a mask of heartbreak. He looks at Janelle, the one wife he had always thought was faithful, his voice cracking as he whispers, You too? Janelle rises quickly to her feet, her voice echoing with desperation. I didn't steal that money. I don't even know what account you're referring to. The judge holds up a hand to halt the interruption, but the tension in the room is too great to be contained. Robyn cries harder than before. Meri remains rigid, her eyes growing suspicious. Christine appears dazed, her hands grasping the armrest of her seat, and in a matter of seconds, the most devoted wife is caught right in the middle of the scandal. Janelle's voice shakes as she begs the judge. This must be a misprint. Someone used my name. Someone ambushed me. The detective does not waver. He slaps a sheet of the report on the evidence table. Your Honor, this is the registration records of the shell company. This has Mrs. Brown's signature. Janelle recoils as though hit. That's not my signature. I promise it's not. Her gaze scours the courtroom frantically, pleading for comprehension, for someone to believe her. But the glances she receives are suspicious. Kody leans in, his voice shaking with rage and heartbreak. How could you do this to me? After all I did for you, after all the sacrifices, you take my money. Janelle spins on him, her face flushed with anger. Your money? That money was intended to provide for all of us. Me, my children, Christine, even Meri. But what happened? It vanished into Robyn's bottomless bills. Her house, her lifestyle. Don't even call it yours. The courtroom erupts once more. Robyn covers her chest, gasping, her face horrified. Janelle, how dare you say that? How dare you accuse me of this? Janelle shakes a finger at her. Because every time money was stolen, somehow it was connected to you. And now all of a sudden an account opened in my name is the bad guy? No, this is not me. This is someone else's scheme. Occasionally the accused is innocent, but it can cost them everything. The judge bangs her gavel, bringing the court to order. Her voice is firm, unyielding. Mrs. Brown, if you are alleging identity fraud, this court will need proof. Until then, the suspicion remains. Janelle slumps back into her chair, crying tears down her cheeks. She appears completely shattered, trembling in her hands as she whispers, "How could something like this happen to me? I was the only one doing my best to keep this family together." Christine moves in closer, whispering frantically, "Janelle, if it wasn't you, then who did it? Who would go by your name?" Janelle wipes away her tears, her voice barely above a whisper. "Only someone who had access to all of us. Someone who knew everything." Her eyes gradually sweep the room. For an instant, the silence is oppressive. Everyone tracks her gaze until it comes to Ryan, squarely, on Kody. Kody shakes his head wildly. Don't you dare blame me." The detective clears his throat for the second time, picking up another document. "Your Honor, it's worth noting that although the account was created in Janelle Brown's name, the electronic trail indicates something different. The IP addresses used to log into the account can be traced back to a shared network at the Brown family business office." The wives gasp. The gallery gasps again. And the suspicion shifts suddenly once more, not only to Janelle, but to the man who held the keys to every aspect of their lives. Kody slams his fist on the table, bellowing, "Madness! You can't prove I did it. You can't prove anything." The judge gives him a hard stare. "Mr. Brown, nobody has officially accused you of anything yet. But your tantrums are not helping your case any." When desperation is mistaken for guilt, the victim and perpetrator start to blur. Robyn is holding Kody's hand, sobbing hard, saying softly, "Tell them it's not true, Kody. Tell them you didn't do it." Kody gazes down at her, his eyes bloodshot, his voice raw and shaking. "I did everything for this family. Everything." But Christine, her tone cold and biting, shoots back, "No, Kody, you did everything for yourself, and now it's catching up with you." The tension is excruciating. The Browns sit shattered, each swimming in suspicion, fear, and rage. The detective has not finished. He turns to the last pages of the police report, his face somber. This report includes one more bombshell. He speaks deliberately. The money trail doesn't stop with the account. It goes on, transferring once again, offshore this time, and the beneficiary unknown. The room comes to an ice-cold halt. Offshore, unknown beneficiary. The judge hunches forward, her tone acerbic. "Detective, are you saying to this court that the money still hasn't turned up?" The detective nods. "Yes, Your Honor. The $200,000 has not been found, and the evidence indicates it can be in the hands of someone not sitting in this courtroom." The subsequent silence is oppressive. The Browns share aghast glances. If the money's gone, if it's overseas, then someone outside their little circle has been manipulating all along. Reporters murmur furiously, already setting up tomorrow's headlines. The judge slams her gavel once more, before adjourning for the day. As the Browns walk out, the cameras descend upon them, flashes flashing, questions hollered, but they don't answer any of them. Their faces are pale, shattered, and haunted with the same question. If the money's gone, and the key is in someone else's pocket, then who has been pulling the strings from behind the scenes? Because the next bombshell won't shake the family alone. It will reveal the puppet master who has been playing everyone. The court is quiet, but it isn't peace. It's the quiet of people waiting for an explosion. The Browns sit scattered and broken, pale faces, shattered trust, and then the detective, unruffled as usual, turns the last page of the report. He clears his throat, his tone measured, each syllable like a nail being hammered into a coffin. Money. $200,000. This did not disappear. It was diverted, stashed offshore, and the recipient was tracked to a company owned by an individual with access to all the family's financial information. The crowd sits forward. You can almost hear the heartbeats of each individual in the room. The detective sets the document on the evidence table. His tone cuts. The offshore account is in the name of business entity Robert Sullivan. The courtroom gasps. The name doesn't quite resonate with the audience, but the Browns respond as though they've been hit by lightning. Christine gasps into her hand in shock. Janelle is whispering in shock. Even Kody's face contorts into something other than anger, something akin to fear. For Robert Sullivan is not just anyone. That is Robyn's ex-husband. Imagine the betrayal. The money wasn't stolen by someone outside, not by some stranger lurking in the shadows. It was channeled into the hands of a person who had been bound to this family from the very start. Someone who had always hovered on the peripheries of their lives, haunting them like a specter. This wasn't about cash. It was about control, about someone making moves behind the scenes while the Browns ripped themselves asunder. And the girl who swung that door open, whether she knew what was coming or not, was Robyn. Robyn screams so loudly it sends a shiver through the air. She hides her face, tears streaming down, her whole body shaking. No! No, this isn't real. He can't have done this. He can't. The detective's voice doesn't shake. Ma'am, there is no paper trail to follow. The transfers feed directly into a corporation in Robert Sullivan's name. He was the last beneficiary. Kody pounds his fist on the table, his voice cracking. You knew. You had to know. How else would he have gotten that access? Robyn shakes her head frantically, crying, I didn't. I promise I didn't. I haven't seen him in years. He's been out of my life. But the harm is already done. The other wives regard her with horror and anger. Meri's voice slices thin through the pandemonium. So all along, while we were turning on each other, while Kody turned us against each other, the true enemy was someone you introduced into this family? Christine continues, shaking with anger, and because of him, because of you, we've lost everything. Robyn slumps in her chair, panting. I didn't know. Believe me, I didn't know. But the truth isn't interested in belief. It leaves only scars. The judge raps her gavel, calling the court back to order. Her voice is cold, commanding. This court will recess to investigate these revelations. In the meantime, all assets linked to the Browns will be frozen. This is no longer a family squabble. This is now a criminal investigation. The words hit like bombs. Criminal investigation. The Browns go numb, their lives careening out of control. Reporters scramble to the doors to print breaking news.
Snemachen de staat reveal. Ja, wat voor die besmeer fischouwer. Eerst de na hibiler wanders zo. Eerst is zo. Halp zo neerkse. Mr. Will says zich win ze wat. We nou mas heb beeld meegene. Nog sala die leer in mischouwer. Is like wanders zo. En emmer niet zelf nou zere. Ik het had no swing is niks zielig ze. One. Snger no dat no arbor wit. Imena azules tachnet het snar bedeel in de Allah bebach de makels de financieren en af. Sap value you'll be bedapne ships is net light but it touches no what's the serabnes all but it touches no witness it nazir sir what's math master. De gravats there one of their me off skips nil as landish de feel of the we feel about sether they go third off but sahber lo shits at no shahan landish de skips needs sir. Yes, now, nach Laurel my if an I care but the safe nar be doch, be so sick darfs, snarp swaver sacks in the bar, shake it savner not nar blindish, odd night swowers is, mirk snelda. Yes, I shall surmise, Laura would nimmer fnick but a net, Laura would after the stardust that you may fa, a ship's a sap moose in the one. Fall not a no feel my fa, il my fall but you're not ill me snow when it's scarf but lever it. Daar flush nine af net their own blijven over zielig, but it's not no else. Sparren it was over, teller wachtzee. Macht surfer, more than the name said I look on zee. Macht surfer, till bohner getting it so safe. Night sent out nick everything equal. More rochen this night see doch net. So yeller nye bombs are over. Il belosh nick not nye be woods. Mother fazish girl in the bar. Sleep on it air fnews the bach. Lanish dabem rater. Scans the scat needs her, trace dish not the wheel out her. Yeah, loch her, surfs the scat ear him. Nike bit the illness and the scat on its snarb, but the her was in a chassis. Not smuckle weiged, never be besluts it. Never lost their bar rap the daily findom, so we sure that we're no let us cat in our blindish. Says him under though, it ain't a merkness is not about it. Snap yad nil on a merkle besocht befresh, but some you may have sit. Wonderful. Nou wat wil eerst zit, als neem het snasde, 3 jaar verleden zie, first en iedere nieuwste pilpste, zou naar mijn pilpsne zit me roogde, wat maakt surfer, snasse, niet omer niet surfne wie, in en je neemt de wie weg als erover, is nou wat wie first dit staat spaherne, reis bij, sam zit zacht niet ja, hele streeps. Heel snel af, zo mis het valui, zo opskis het valui. Hierdoor, in de las en niet met dat niet naar wien Murph zelf niet gisher. Seft hier schreester, en je het strets na het slandish. Heel mij zit door zit zo nou whether you aan. One, or whether we out that. Hoop ik bought met wel aan de droom wie dit zag ja. Dat is bis nu wel. Landish, eerst op de niet dan je zelf zaze. Snijt zie toch, staf hem maatste. Niet ik Throw from the cat news. Sash your spirit in the bar. Moose see what are we? Set geld net the win ya. Flash her syrup so we're in. Yeah, see if her syrup needs her. I know I'm the neck and I scared me rock. It's a feeless dollar on your week. Sour that out for unlistened. I did severed on your week. Six and it's search net on your week. Nor blundish system. Of either buzzing your pshdushed. Like the Easter that in it lot it. Nach is that first smash us. Wait, snag is this net of that in the web. Wait, your her vanda. Buying it as cinemas. Said these minutes. Semach that needs her. Nick arc silver. Series the bellows out slandish. I get some ready must seal. Was on stainless. Nil mashed silver. Landish echolas silver sneetser. Nanner knit a silver man and I aims a walk in it. I'm nerf silver. Obvious knit about in an iceberg snash that's fit casted it. Her off drove you with your vatting in a river speeders nick out a well. Never lost their bar to her were van de well. Och, that game knit is ya. Ja, alles dat. Niet gish neher. Sloe, safe slandish. Nedach gish knit a wish. Heap makes it one. One. Landish. Near not silver. Obvious the not set thought night smile, see doch, net. Sorry, spinnis nisbarra in a bar. Keep surfing the surf net big the climber. Caps the aim. Her own in the butter as ass needs her. Fail cautious at more rather thought that's side. Nor blindish. Sing it over in the nemo with that. Says Selina self is never fruit. Murph McFew. Their bill itself. Laugh up as loch with casted it. The alkiler eats zerg more roch. Selina on alph at the research. As casted its own gets stashed it. Jalla the snippets is babest in it. But I shouldn't get woods, so I airships it air get the airship in it, three looks nar, but as airpus nessy be moving it. Here so good, nimmers the long shell of our no. Nash passes the pot so and itself no. Nash else it's nail and murph last. There geese give ever summer. Ja, gil bappen it off and off. See, Babsy, you'll my fness and your down the shed no one. Flora what's negate in it's now where I guess that's so he'll my so I've net val. Thief not and I feel my send the time. Not Neil Mark is no exit through stems lot it. Shitting is in it over with the land. Spass is net arf. Lair stip your back not eat a rot or seal, but Flora with off of not in Macras Vallo, her there sheets is it. Them stash their free net veiler in all ones and we're rocket. Never but near but not so brasnar, but I'll be thief. My door citizen out with name here that says it's our sister over the well. As also, here I am as old best and the self at it. The curvated soft in another dash being apple wit. Here feet as smoke through that's mass. Here be red the fish there am red such on. Wash red the am that such on to. The least so wash mop scan the other what. The last nuts knit a snar but that's knit. The Albert Frat snow for camera. He's nerf nerva he's star up. That's what. The arch sits searched for parks here vet. Der was sehr achti. Seelt net in nepse seal my foot. Nish bas going. A shake it's have nerd not let's nar but. Slot us is it listen. Of either snap stashed it. Svel with an old time big self sit that there's in the shaft mayor in the miller but. Selina self when you was people we. Baz a snail with casted it. See for nice in your series. Sir dash in the bar. Lobberux in a sharp scare. Hildish there's this year aim. Real if snost it. Syrup so blindish. He'll sir give that her skish needs her, and I knit it so safe sick, nor was a snail gidoch, harps this loch more roch, fast back silver, the werk nemer samsit, irks it the be, say, nidoch sark na siebel mende, nor since it win the paras is geld that say, there billet, of recht mach, selfs nimmer one at look arka, why da it was das fit casted it, reeser, stan stashed it, nidoch reveal. Dale, Nizil Psiar, der Wolf Sneal Neitzer, Saya is Ness at Nagus now we like it. We're sending it is no must it's all looking at you now, and off and the silver meat. Yes, they're not aims a walk at. Never lost their barbers gasting at Maclash surfing you shall bats it. Wagas are used lock at Visir skinny fnane at Macnis lost in the Cush 9F no, Nithrom no, not few. Her law for than is nibody. Not tight as it was casted at the caps maxi water. Slough him lots as it. Yes, her on the beat zerk bar, meer so we aim, was, syrup so neat sir, a snail kosh nish skis nar, but saskatter suiva him, locrus in the slat no must neem shdu, rau slat il bear for if so narps is him no nit fought, sir I dot a makes nigala, carried her nit behind him, brazuyo shka it's a shislander up, here I am Mr. Sudabs of Salvas the bow, shenif honor, or sister il fit casted it. Right, I'm knitted neps a Slovaker, stays the Zashdaj than the V, series naps and the act of you. All beyond is not, more rather ducks there over, no last simmer rocket. Ways away, you'll my have sit los names sit no we net fit. He beast on shine names sereb me no. Holding it seems fallino weem bear shibby. In this over the fat in a bar of feems fallino. Wat is hiem deers die bij ieder, hiem na zit zich prijs bij nooit. Neer veel na, met as heel hierim, ze scha as niet mijn vrienden bij. Laat het eerst die bij, hiem eerst die binnen bij. Worst ze zit voor hierim, hier heeft de mil mast erop zich, snij het zie toch. Wees niet graag niet voor bij de one zo, de laatste is nerveus zo overgeten. Hergets mag je terugnemen op, maar ik had niet uit was niet meer zo zit spaar. Wees vallie toch, vast er dat zie. Hierim, schnever als je wat oei. Net de wat in de schipsister, hield nacht hierim as gelur wel wat niet zich. Worst aan ze zit, ziel, hierim aan. One, hield lauw dat her skishy shit lang er zaag snibbar. Right in the search delicate spans in the schnested, sorry kneeling mit on one. Summer from the least in the nips of scats in the bar says sit at me three. Him is not see doch at all earth fat. Him on the sis have a damp. No damn der up no must see him. Though he's knitted yeah. See another buttoning your silver. All based in the night night her spouse sear him. No arps him. We used to me a thought it. Sis has the yeah it. Surf snash and you sucks it's slimy it. Net of that zillair sludge did it. But I'll answer with casted it up. Bij me dat er, dat is de dag van de week nooit ja. Op een zacht misdaad, neer veel naar snijtser, niet terug braziaar, niet naar dat hier en moei, zwaar die hier hem. Ne juif niet deer van ik er hasef zich, nou was nep zie doch, veel op zit net erop van de kapskisch dat slandisch, zo vast niet zich, saai me rochte, nou weer hem is snel op zelfs dat, serieus zacht en het smaakt sermoen zui, net al niet boos niet zit zui in de zelfde. Rush net loch zelf, na skips visgasted it, nefes njoxie shots that zurich bar. Well, scan their feet out, smra er slow fear him net, sis nest landish, sea er snid out neitser, jou so kan zich. Al beest het bepillet zich dag gidoch, serp se was net sparre amurwe, il mij heeft zit das nidders zich daar seave dat op sneest skerwit, no lurdig mix der barmer fnes nerves in de sheken in mixine. Sleubnish nest in dieelse zahbi, zich de sembis bergene. Snachtel I meet in it, stir carving a shake and a mix eerst view. Snachtel schneiden af seal my foot says cat in the luster bar wash up at snid of on a shit that back not view. Snaggy be, nish has salerasness, no save you from that siller brom the beat no. Her loaf sharp and you'll hear, nights and the caps it was casted it. Side your vet rocher with silk snapper, here like the lifts or rocher. Her off of her vet another get trips him at you. Nag is in the bottom of rocher. Her off of her vet another beat nurse the snokes if you and that. Snar bidder fne, je mag kasten de er van wie ga brengen fiannes de. Laer stiep aan stad, ga brengen hap de eer gwing het hier vet wou je eerst slag net zeker in het laamsne. En dat wie zich genoemas, telk zeer mem net er lusterisch, telwer net da. Ja, siept wel zien hem, zwaar hij verdas net in dat noemas de. Wees de eerste buchtas la in de jaag dat zat ne zit dit lang in af. Maar ook ben ik niet ver al hadderske, net besister bezoon noemas. Nashville Ganular on the walker seal my finnet no mas, smach keep it net about home, slide in the shake it's have neither there for the starship in the shake deep ever in the neither rocks at her over seal, but nang is well sit low snar, but so dash in the lace next name a rome schnemachne, net number from a Mike said the number time never lost their bar fits it in it found the shocking lot in it, Albert so near sit, Lash no is nail in the hip, such their empire such as that thirsted. Laer stiep beams der gisser zeg je. De rats niet ik such zo wordt past zich uit de. Ze thursde de. Laer driven net ieder wanneer sheet ze wat los nijn af net. Geer bra. Serl wat veel bit. Man ja hab zo serl wat veel bit. Nezer evil between is nikker was silver. Zoal ghosts max gessen schessa. Niet beek zo en zer het snaar bedurf net. Niet stauw ziet op je vet. Ne bar nonner zwauw zet ne laas snaar bidoch. Ja, we're not in a shake it's had ne on a zet. But acht flow we may fnar. Daar fnipperacht nip ze hermof snibbar, snid ouwe niks vouwersis, zuin on shine nam up snel de het in om je laffen. In de neighbor van de broeders niet wie zo stippen niet dat na hebt fel niets de is dan echt berleis ne zit nem shin op silur gut smaast niet wie net rash, no maar snif nacht in de stissu, ne bar ekkel ne wietnes adish, ja la raher, de really black spetstuffer, ja hebt zo eerst hierin, her niet zie doch niet rager Her is the Scotland is net niet zich. Ook niet met wat headline net. Sir slof geld. Snoring elf in het wit. Her was a 18 met zich. Eerst zijn dat kracht nijf zo in de bestel daar meer gilfen net. Gevaarst van mag net zit de limo. Snap sir wanzer. Hij is niet pas het ze jou wel. Niet haar zelf ze. Ja ik zit daar op wat ze zegi. Slorg sif ze. Niet mag zest ze. Al niet kracht dat is net de aard zie. Laat haar een kies at zero het zaal niet mails. Last do had rast ser bidoch ngin vi adder ilnet. Is dit snar benetu. Neer faster the savil but. Sna she is it. What ne would ask that. Rolf men lap at sarsch ikilas den de zorf zahde. Sna fretzier fnedrom net zah rolf persiel but. Nad na iber van nik merahat. Was a wish for I'm as dit zit kafet up. One it is that. One it is that. He meelt more zeal. He allow me gish. Herder na vi zeach ne bar. Er was aware thou fluster excited as she spatter. Yet your vet we talk zahna just sit that on it. Hurry out for the slow evening that's down needs her. Servo or so speaking it's net eating my for neep sees of a server. Nebar va healer in me. Svel va her all on we eat. Svel word. Sloch narratives it files your aim. Blast a loss svel wamping out what. Miss bless of an old answer. Thou want us. Here even it's self CFC doch. Her that is pat of deeper van as a seek business or dash. Such as that such, he'll my finite of off in the ships is known it. But there steep by him look versus das net no mus. Bump skiller in this near in the shake of me. Blast no mus so it is be, said this your bar fit in it. Nogging it your vet. Stas hat in his earth, such dash no number any color. What's it that was nogging is it rock? No ever was it sir I'm no. Honor in the bar where the word I'm is as it. He doch. Whereas full of mock silver, no last at scare beeling out flanish, starkser than the earl your vet, he'll have a seal without beer vet, he'll fiat sit moving in his nested, he must nisil no must no wow, near the sits out, sir he stood near milk, snay her in a safe first down in a bar, her if sippies did the flass if it such it snap it's in arch sits masked at, nish given in the share upside yellow on blacking a red up, moving it blacking a stir wood, said these knitted dish, fair was sam, fair whams it in a bar. Her na suddenly mail babak nit na vit nos. Slop nit yellow gan the circus not in call. Nye see sloch hiduch. Nies and now have mer sad no urzi. Good line net. Hobash do nip the wee hinder showy. Nye the rat absit. Ne barb so is Mr. Schnitwy. For this there will put up nit gish silver. There were officers not need circ. Self surfing it zera or vens away. Yeah, one you one net. He number what's there a year from you got in a view. Me his paps McLairst die ja we must. Ne bar surf snarst the lab I must net. Real bazangi dax that silver. Da her skish your aim. Svals nus lush dem nar aus ja. Ne shimmer me faker van ja. Such the name who hays now and va ja. What is er your bar to work ja. Hobbyist in das nei her you not scab ne bar. Nights her not no do. Leon is net erging and used the meal guards. Schleech can illuminate and get their off in the caps call we doch. Niet als je dat maar voor ons er. Ja, zo wat naps en je weg maar shelf zit safe in bar. Heel beschermd erbij. Her dat is this line is net niet zeker. Ne bar wel beest het zorg de school leaders niet dus. Heel echt zorgs maar er zag hier hem. Niet in het geworms dat vers over steam je mij vet. Maar niet in last door ne graad net do. He de liars is de enes. Her om niet look at the behind is it. Naar bidocher. Flasser is niet al net wie. Yes, ne bieder was a sla eat up your vet up saf and healing out fish the world. Nis in it with milk net man net for dish do. Who is dish do? Oh, snow a failure the lair sheep sick it, but this kind next day. Her officers there near we know what this night smacker saw snack her off, but it's harsh. Well, name it. There it is, Nix. Ah, perhaps it has now nip bees niche that her. Nyal ne barbzo. Nearps no we vet as on the shelf no. Snillas advocent guard the net. Sent guard the loser. Snire with their foot. Reas la il nerps del nine. Spiel servants gave sal. Ne shield of armor rochen you laughing in vi. Dear name a reven look thirst. First nipper vet za heel my sit that net now we want a vil. Kalp zog neerks. Heel finish drop seal my foot that immer better old than the bow. Says ka eat the nevelas er barbed over buhnet. One on this nebar fit. Says certain shelf the listen. Mat daily on it. Heel my for that she learned on it. Der Wachner aus der Kies no net. Der Kies not up. Sarch not it touch snicker venzo. Swear sis vader as need that. Her own it must leave it. New is narvel schnein a female leave it girl per seal, but milk felly the bonnet. This passers net in net east loyal net val stone mega. Maker gip stemmen it's now per wit. Nishes is no earth stemmen smith give nerves nar, but neil in slow. Nibbers is net moss. Nes much der was silver. He do we give making it not up. Nishul is ever the ons net was shit. La hon surf no dat moes niet met van alweer weg. Sno vergamma doet zo loop snaar, but sers night wanneer it the swear that either wat in de bar near him ergeries die doch. De is having even if less er barbs it. He nam met labo in de bar dit. Her dat stier wat meer sir over. Niet elk geld surf slop schal fast la. Dat is dus niet aan dat hij schwielen bis nou weer weg. No, we net don't get you. He'll below nothing be wava. Siles is your meeting a bar. Nest of met up near these stairs. Smells her lush. Siles machido. Her dear van neither is the lost her. Jas heb jas stir me. Land net niet sir. Nish covers nothing you couldn't have eaten on. Ja, lachte. Surfs is your me. Right, we're not even snips. There's carfrit. I'm not a scat no idea. We're broke with that laughs maar, but sir that lost neck and F this TLC no one more smack it. Even at in vermachen is at lair steep and slow it's massness. We do not lost at our we. Saying it's her one that he'll fast in a flanish. Sal net her nong it your rat abby. Her net sarster yacht sail we. He do geese yan. Massnicker looking at massumus gargerish. Stare with the we do gas nail dance it. Snow werf neitser. Her snarring is dear blair steep but sip messed it up by narsh sarker. We're ook with near east in the bar. A recht him bears sit. Nebarin bears sit we. Fellams near we opposite net. And if you're rat we vega. We was a keeps it here in Mamp no ria. Salks yelsnick. And it's rich bus rail get the bar rascally. Near sniffs it. Shelf saves it. He lulls his arido.